So friends, what can we do about some of the ethical problems in our government? For example, we know there are a lot of former Trump officials who knew that Donald Trump was committing crimes while he was president, and they concealed Donald Trump's crimes. But once they left government, what did they do? They revealed them by publishing books and profiting off of those revelations. That is an enormous ethical problem in our government. There is something we can do about it. I'm actually proposing 22 words. 22 words that, can't fix all of the problems we have regarding ethics in government, but it can certainly take us one step on the road to fixing some of those problems. So let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, can we talk for a few minutes today about government ethics? I know, it's an oxymoron, right? Government ethics. I probably don't have to convince you that we have a problem with respect to the ethics of at least some of those people who are serving or have served in the federal government. And I'm going to propose a solution that involves just 22 words. And I talked about this at length on what is my new audio podcast, coincidentally called Justice Matters. And on Saturday, I posted an episode that discusses those 22 words and how they can be employed to move us forward on the government ethics front. So if you're interested in a much longer conversation, please feel free to go to my new audio podcast. You can get it, as they say, wherever you ordinarily get your podcasts. But I want to do sort of a short discussion about it on today's Justice Matters video. Now, I probably don't have to convince you there's a problem, but let me use one example, one concrete example of why we need to reform government ethics. Or, as you may have heard me say before, we need a renaissance of ethics in government. Here's the problem. Mike Pence, that name is kind of synonymous with problem, right? Former Vice President Mike Pence. While he was Vice President, Donald Trump was urging him to commit crimes. Specifically, we learned in a book from which Mike Pence is profiting that Donald Trump was pressuring, was insisting that Mike Pence violate the Electoral Count Act, that Mike Pence goes to Congress on January 6th and refuses to certify Joe Biden's win. Instead, Donald Trump wanted Mike Pence to be a co-conspirator in trying to corruptly hand the presidency over to Donald Trump for a second term, even though he lost the election. Donald Trump was pressuring a government official to, violate his official duties and to break the law. Donald Trump was committing crimes, and Mike Pence concealed those crimes. He told no one. He reported it to no one. Then when he left government service, he wrote all about it in his book, so, he could profit. That's an ethical problem regarding his government service, and he hasn't been held accountable for it. So let me first talk about what crime might Mike Pence have committed by concealing the crimes of Donald Trump while Donald Trump was president. We have a crime for that. It's called misprision of a felony. Now, misprision is a funny word, a fancy word. It basically means to hide or to conceal. Why do they call it misprision? I don't know, probably because it was drafted by lawyers. Lawyers like to make things more complicated than they have to be. Maybe because it sort of helps ratchet up their billable hours. I don't know. That was a little cynical. What is misprision of a felony? Well, of course, it can be found in the big, ugly blue book of federal laws, the United States Code. And specifically, you can find it at 18 U.S. Code Section 4. And here is how that statute reads. Whoever, having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony, cognizable by a court of the United States, conceals and does not as soon as possible make known the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority under the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. So breaking that down into layman's terms, whoever knows that somebody has committed a federal crime, a crime cognizable in the courts of the United States, who does not promptly report it to the appropriate authorities, committed the federal felony of misprision, a 3-year federal felony. It sure sounds like, based on available reporting, that's precisely what Mike Pence did. He concealed it, he didn't report it, and then, of course, he revealed it in a book so he could profit off of it. Okay, so maybe you're saying, well, Glenn, if there's a crime that covers that, what Mike Pence did, it seems like there is at least a vehicle to address it. And there is that federal law, misprision of a felony. But can I tell you, in my 30 years as a federal prosecutor, I don't think I have ever once seen a misprision of a felony case brought by any prosecutor. I'm not saying it hasn't been brought, but it's certainly not up to the task of addressing this conduct by Mike Pence. And remember, it's not just Mike Pence. Other former Trump officials wrote books with all sorts of revelations. John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Bill Barr, and others. So here is why I am proposing 22 words to help us move forward on the road toward a more ethical government. And it involves the oath of office. I took an oath of office back in the 1980s when I became an Army JAG and entered active duty. I took an oath of office after I left the Army and joined the Department of Justice. And that oath of office actually comes from a federal law that was first enacted, I think, in 1884. It was last amended, updated in 1966, and I am proposing that it's time to update it again. First of all, here is the oath of office that anybody entering the military, anybody entering federal civilian service has to take. It comes from 5 United States Code, Section 3331, and it is titled Oath of Office. And here's how it reads. I, Glenn Kirshner, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God. That's the oath of office. I propose we add 22 words to help fix or at least address the problem of ethical lapses in government service. Here's what I propose. The first part of the oath would read as it reads now. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And here is where the 22 words come in. I propose adding, and I will report promptly all instances of crime and or corruption by government officials and employees of which I become aware. And with that, friends, gone are the days of whistleblowers being a rare thing. Whistleblowers who have to be protected. You know, stand-up patriots like Colonel Vindman, who disclosed Donald Trump's extortion and bribery of Ukrainian President Zelensky, only to have his military career virtually taken away from him by Trump and company, retaliating against that disclosure by Colonel Vindman. Gone are the days that whistleblowers are these magical unicorns who have to be protected. Because if you add those 22 words to the oath of office, every single federal government employee, every single member of the military will be obligated, it will be their sworn duty to report promptly the crimes and corruption of other government officials or employees. Easy. And do you think that will deter the conduct of the Mike Pences of the world who want to conceal Donald Trump's crimes? If they know that everybody around them has a sworn obligation to report them, how can that not have a deterrent effect? How can that not enhance the ethics in our government? You know, friends, I'm working with some of my local, my own elected representatives to try to make this a reality. Because we have to do something to combat what we had to endure in the Trump years. Corrupt official after corrupt official after corrupt official, hiding, among other things, the crimes of Donald Trump. Let's try to make this simple change, this 22-word change, to try to make progress on the road to better ethics in government. And friends, if you're interested in joining me in this effort, if you find this proposed amendment, this 22-word amendment to the oath of office persuasive, I invite you to come to my website. I'm not selling anything, friends. If you come to my website, glennkirshner.com, and click on the Contact Glenn button, drop me a note, an email saying you're interested in participating in this endeavor, I will email you one paragraph that you can simply send to your elected representatives to say, this sounds like a good idea to help improve ethics in government. Because you know what? The more people that believe this is an important fix, the more of a groundswell we can generate, the better the chances that we'll be able to persuade our elected officials to, perform this simple amendment of a statute to make our federal government better. And I just want to take a minute to give a shout out to my good friend and fellow justice warrior, Bobby Mealy. Bobby has been helping me with this oath of office project. Thank you, brother. And friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.